welcome. My name is Ansu and today I'm here to do my October wrap-up. Can you actually believe it is the end of October? Because like it's very quick right now. I don't know what to do anymore. But I did read quite a few books and I have my handy dandy laptop here so I can actually go through everything. Alright, so I was in for a ride when it came for thrillers this month. I really wanted to read a lot more thrillers, so I incorporated a few of them into my reading. So the first one I ended up reading was The Wife Between Us by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. Listen, I've heard about this book so much that I really wanted to give it a shot. It is a very interesting concept, I'll give you that. I think for some reason I was a little confused. There were parts where the main character, I think they were calling her, what was her name in this book? I forget. So the main character had a nickname to her, so for some reason I thought the present girlfriend and the ex-wife were the same people for some reason. I really thought that for quite a bit of the book, and then I realized, and it was almost too late. But anyway, basically in this book you will assume a lot of things. You will assume that we're reading about a jealous ex-wife and she just wants to break up the couple right now just because she's jealous and does not want, you know, the best for the guy or anything like that. You will assume that she's obsessed with her replacement, and that's pretty much it. Like, you honestly think that for quite a bit of the book because the newer person is a very beautiful young woman. She's just about to marry this lovely guy, or so you would think. That's how we were kind of going into this. There's like a weird love triangle situation going on and you're trying to figure out like what the heck is going on, who is the bad guy, all of those kind of things. This is like a mystery thriller, domestic thriller of sorts, and personally I really enjoyed it. I give it, I think, 3.5 stars out of 5. There are like multiple twists in the book, and I think like the first one that came up was kind of obvious. Like, I kind of figured out what was going on to an extent, and so that was that. There's a little twist in the last chapter and I thought that was fun, but other than that, like, honestly, the twists and turns that were there in the entirety of the book was pretty normal in my opinion. I enjoyed it. Like, I'm not gonna say I hated it absolutely. It was fun, but it was not like the best thriller in the world or something like that I've personally read. So yeah, it was definitely a good book, but not my favorite. Moving on, I read one of my favorite books of this year, and that is Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q Sutanto. I freaking love this book. I thought it was the most adorable book. This is like a mystery contemporary romance. We have Madeline Chen, who accidentally ends up killing her blind date. Her mother kind of set her up with this dude and they go on this blind date. So Madeline is very close with her 3 aunts and her mom, and they're very, very meddlesome into her life, and so all of these people try to save her from the horrible truth of actually killing someone, trying to hide the dead body and all of that kind of stuff. The issue is that they have this kind of a business. They're wedding planners. They are going to go to this huge wedding of like 2,000 plus guests. Somehow the dead body ends up in that wedding. A lot of things that they did not anticipate ends up happening. They're a really talented and meddlesome bunch, and it's just really fun to read from them. The whole family dynamic is so cute. The thing is, once they get to the wedding, Madeline has another problem on top of actually having 2,000 guests in this wedding. There is this guy that she used to date in college actually showed up in this wedding. She is freaking out. She has no idea what is going on and does not know how to deal with it. I personally really enjoyed it. I love the family dynamics. So I know there's another book coming out in the series next year and I'm just so pumped for it. I loved it, and I hope NetGalley kind of approves of my little request for this book, but I personally really enjoyed it and I would love to get to the rest of the series because it's so good. Of course I give this a 5 stars because I had such a grand time reading it. Next up, I read a very short story, and that was A Spindle Splintered by Alex Harrow. I didn't love this. So this is kind of like a Sleeping Beauty retelling. It's a part of a series. It's called Fractured Fables, and it's the first book. Personally, I didn't really enjoy it. I think I gave it like 2.5 stars. I did not like any of the characters. That was the main thing. So we have this girl named Xenia Gray who's 21 and she's chronically ill. There was like an industrial accident when she was really young, which led her to have like a rare condition in which she can't really do much. She can't go out, can't really stand on her own feet. And one day she's having her 21st birthday and her friend Charm has like this whole party for her. Xenia is also super obsessed with Sleeping Beauty, the tale, and she wanted to have like a whole party related to that, which is why there was like a a spindle thing, hurts herself on a splinter, and that leads her to go into this alternate universe. Once she is there, she meets this other princess character over there, and it's like a very medieval kind of a time. Kind of like a fairy tale princess where she has no rights. Same thing with her, if she touches a spindle, she will die, something like that. There's like a romance between Charm and this princess. Really? Why was that even there? I don't know. It was just so dumb. I personally didn't really like it. I guess some people will. It is a very short story, so you can definitely fly through it. Not for me. Did not like it. The next one I got an early copy from NetGalley and also through HarperCollins. This is The Keeper of Night by Kylie Lee Baker. I gave this, I think, 4 stars. We have a half British Reaper and half Japanese Shinigami named Ren Scarborough. She's been collecting souls in London for the past couple of centuries, and she's supposed to deal with the hierarchy, and they're very strict. And because she's a half-blood, a lot of people hate her so much. She does not feel like she belongs in London because, well, a lot of people completely hate on her. One day she's not able to control her Shinigami powers, and she's been driven out of London. She flees to Japan with her brother, and she's seeking help from the Reapers there, or like the Shinigami there. She's very hopeful that she can get some kind of relief from there. Once Ren gets there, she has to serve the underworld. A lot of things happen there, and she has to go through a lot of trials and tribulations to get to where she wants to, in hopes that she can actually belong in Japan. But here's the real truth: because she's half-blood, she doesn't feel like she belongs anywhere. She does not know enough Japanese to communicate with people from Japan. And the same thing with London, where she looks different. That's why people hate her in London. The way that she treated her brother, like, girl, you could have done so much better. I was really upset with the way that she treated her brother, but I kind of get how she was mad at him, sort of, but he dropped everything for her to be with her, you know? I was just a little annoyed by that. This is a young adult historical fantasy, and I really enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of the series, and it was just really good. Another book that I got off of NetGalley was The Party Crasher by Sophie Kinsella. If you didn't know, I've read so many books of Sophie Kinsella, and I really enjoy her writing style. It's just fun, you know. It has comedy, it has just a lot of heartfelt moments, and it's really good. Contemporary romance is more of a chick lit, and basically we're following around Effie, whose parents decided to divorce 2 years ago. They seem to be the epitome of perfection. They seem so happy together, but for whatever reason it didn't work out. They decided to divorce. Effie has taken this so poorly, and even 2 years later she's not over it. Father really quickly started dating this new person who seems very like materialistic and is kind of mooching off her father, and that's what it seems like, right? The whole time Effie is just not okay with it. 2 years later, the father decides to sell their family house in which Effie grew up all her life in. Had so many lovely memories in it for Effie. The kitchen was painted by the stepmother, and it was just like really nice, and she was so in love with the way that house was before. So now this new lady comes over, decides to sell this house. Of course Effie's really upset, so she gets an invitation towards this house cooling party so that they can say goodbye to the house for the last time. Since Effie is not really invited, she does not want to be there. She's really upset, but she remembers that she has this doll set that she used to really love, and she wants to keep it with her, and she's just so upset that she can't, that she decides to go and crash the party. So no one's ever going to know that she was there. She's going to get in, grab the stuff, and leave. That's the plan, but nothing goes around that way. She ends up actually interacting with her ex-boyfriend, who she left off in poor terms, but he's like a really famous doctor and stuff, so things happen there, and I don't really want to say much more about it because it's really cute. I think you should read it. So yeah, definitely a good book. I would really recommend it. I had a good time reading it. This next book is going to be a huge surprise to some of you, and that is Nevermore: The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. I've been trying to read this for a whole ass year, maybe more than that. I finally got around to it, and I'm so glad I read it. It is a middle grade fantasy. It has been a while. I have been trying to read this for so long. I just never got around to it, and I finally did, and I'm so glad I did. Morgan Crow is cursed. She is set to die on her 11th birthday at Eventide. All her life she's known as the bad luck charm. Anything that happens to anybody, they just blame it on Morgan because she was born in Eventide. She's a terrible person. That's why. You know, she's the curse of the city. But the day before her 11th birthday hits, Jupiter North comes over, whisks Morgan Crow away into this whole other world called Nevermore. In Nevermore, Morgan realizes that she has to contend in this society of things where she could potentially get into a position where she will be safe. So she does not have to die necessarily, so that's very exciting to her, and she has to contend in this competition. Of course, there's a lot of stuff that happens after that. Honestly, it's just a fun time. I really enjoyed it. I'm really glad I picked it up, and I'm hoping to get to the rest of the series pretty soon as well. Next up, I read Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I heard a lot of people talking about this, so I just wanted to get to it. It was honestly very creepy. So there's Jules, who's about 24, 25 years old, and she just got laid off. She found out her boyfriend was cheating on her the day that she got laid off. So she's just really upset. She does not know what to do. She is homeless right now. She's living on her friend's couch at this moment, and she gets this opportunity to house sit in a very fancy hotel of sorts called Bartholomew. Actually, the rules are that she cannot have any visitors. She cannot stay a night away from the apartment. You cannot talk to other residents. Do not disturb other residents either. Every single one of them are pretty much rich and famous, so you're not supposed to interact with them or disturb them in any way. All seem like simple rules, but kind of sketchy, but Jules decides to still go forward with it. In just 3 months, she could make $12,000, which is so much money, and she cannot say no to this offer, and she ends up going to it. As she gets to know the residents and the staff of Bartholomew, she gets closer to this girl named Ingrid. There's some like disturbing things that remind her of her sister who had gone missing like 8 years ago. She's really connected to Ingrid and wants to know like what's up. Ingrid seems kind of disturbed by the things that are happening in the Bartholomew, which leaves Jules a little terrified as well. Because Ingrid herself goes missing, and Jules is trying to figure out what happened to Ingrid, if she's okay, where she is, and all that kind of stuff. There seems to be a killer on the loose in the Bartholomew, and she's trying to figure out who the killer is, why they're doing it, all that kind of stuff. Really enjoyed it. I give it a 3.5 stars out of 5. It is a mystery thriller. It is fun. I can't really say much more about it because it might spoil you more than you should be. It's a really fun book. I would really recommend you guys to pick it up. The final book that I read, I'm so happy because it's actually my first ever manga. Remember like 3 months ago I said I would be reading a manga? Finally did it. I finally ended up reading Case Closed by Gosho Aoyama, and I got recommended this by Rachel from in the library. It was really fun. Our main character, Shinichi, is a detective of sorts who is in high school, and he's just really smart. He's compared to Sherlock Holmes, and he's super smart. But one day when he was in the middle of like an amusement park, he ends up following these criminals, give him like a potion of sorts, which shrinks him into a young boy who's like 8 years old at this point. So everyone thinks like he's an actual child when in reality he's not. His brain is like the 16, 17-year-old that he is, but of course he's a very small boy right now. No one is taking him any seriously. He's trying to figure out how he can go back into who he really was. Cannot let anyone really know that he is Shinichi because, well, the people who tried to kill him might come and actually end him. He uses this new name called Conan, and he's known Detective Conan, and it's really fun. It is kind of gory, I'll give it that. Some of the murders in here are like beheadings, which was it was a little creepy to read, but it was honestly, it's a lot of fun. I'm really excited to read the rest of the volumes. There's like more than 60 or 70 volumes. I don't even know at this point. And it is a manga, so like, good job, Ansu. I have to say, like, reading a manga was actually kind of difficult because I honestly went like left to right for the first few pages and was like, wait, it does not make any sense. And then figured out that it was supposed to go right to left. It took me a while, but I'm finally there. I'm really enjoying it, so I'm hoping to read a little bit more manga as well a little later, so that's that. So those are all the 8 books that I read in the month of October. That's it for me. If you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Ansu. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to be notified every single time I upload a new video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see y'all next time with another one. Until then, I'll talk to you all in the comments. Bye!